You ever wonder how a simple idea, one born out of just pure frustration, explodes into a global powerhouse? I mean, how do you really get from a couple of friends in an apartment to a multi-billion-dollar company? Okay, let's get into it because there is a playbook, and trust me, it's not what you think.
So often, it starts right here. Not with some brilliant flash of insight, but with this deep, nagging feeling that something is just broken. This is Brian Chesky, co-founder of Airbnb, and he's talking about his life before the big idea. That feeling of misery, of seeing a system that makes zero sense, that's the real fuel for so many of these world-changing companies.
Now, the media just loves to sell us this story on the left, right? The clean, perfect launch that just shoots straight to the moon. But the reality for pretty much every single successful founder is this tangled journey on the right. It's messy, it is full of wrong turns, and it's anything but an overnight success. This visual just perfectly captures the difference between the story we're told and the one that's actually lived. To really get that messy reality, we have to ask questions that sound kind of crazy, like this one, because the answer is what connects those desperate, scrappy beginnings to these massive, world-changing outcomes. And this isn't some random question. It's literally the story of how Airbnb managed to survive its early days.
So let's start right there, in the middle of all that chaos. This first part is all about the totally unglamorous, super creative, and yeah, often desperate stuff that founders have to do just to keep the lights on.
I mean, think about it. The entire Airbnb empire, with millions of places you can stay all over the world, started from the most relatable problem ever. Two guys in San Francisco couldn't pay their rent, so they inflated 3 air mattresses, threw them on the living room floor, and offered people a place to crash and some breakfast. Airbed and breakfast. It wasn't some grand vision to disrupt the hotel industry. It was literally a way to make ends meet. But get this, even the air mattress idea wasn't quite enough to pay the bills. So what they do? Well, during the 2008 election, they designed and sold these politically themed cereals. They were gluing the boxes together by hand and selling them for $40 a pop. It sounds completely absurd, but you know what? It worked. It gave them $30,000 of seed money to keep their actual idea alive. That right there is the definition of scrappy. Okay, so that kind of scrappy survival is absolutely crucial, but you can't do it forever. At some point, the chaos needs a strategy, and this is where a formal go-to-market playbook comes into the picture. We're talking about a go-to-market or GTM strategy, and it's not just some fancy business school term for marketing. A GTM is a laser-focused plan of attack. It's all about how you launch a specific product, how you go out and find those first critical users, and how you prove that your idea can actually become a real business. And the first major goal of any GTM strategy is to find this holy grail, product market fit. The famous investor Mark Andreessen absolutely nailed the definition. It's that magic moment when you finally built something that people genuinely need in a market that's big enough to support you. You know you have it when the product starts pulling users in by itself, instead of you having to constantly push it on them. And this journey, it follows a pretty logical flow. First, you have to be sure you're solving a real painful problem, not just some minor inconvenience. Then you build and tweak and iterate until you finally have that product the market is satisfied with. Only then, once you've proven the concept, do you hit the gas and scale up. Trying to scale before you have product market fit is one of the fastest ways to kill a startup, period. But how do you find those first users to even test your product, especially when you have like $0 for ads? Well, this is where things get really, really creative. Welcome to the world of growth hacking. Okay, take Reddit. When they launched, it was a complete ghost town. And who wants to join a community when there's no community? So the founders faked it. They created tons of fake accounts and just posted content themselves, talking to each other to make the site look busy and interesting. It totally solved that chicken and egg problem and made the platform feel alive when the first real users finally showed up. Dropbox took a totally different approach. They built the marketing right into the product itself. Their referral program was just genius. Want more free space? Just invite a friend. So every new person who joined because of you actually made the product better for you. This created what's called a viral loop, where their own customers basically became their most effective sales force. A dating app is only useful if there are other people on it, right? Especially people in your local area. Tinder solved this by going hyper-local. They targeted college campuses and threw these huge parties where the only price of admission was just downloading their app. This seeded their network with a ton of people from their target demographic all in one geographic area, which made the app instantly useful from day one. And sometimes a growth hack is just a single, unbelievably audacious act. After getting rejected by the famous Y Combinator program, Instacart's founder didn't just give up. He used his own app to order a six-pack of beer and had it delivered to one of the partners. I mean, it was the perfect demo, it proved the product worked, and the sheer nerve of it got him a second look. And yep, a spot in the program. All right, let's put all these ideas together now and dig into one deep case study. Pinterest is just a fascinating example of a company that found its true purpose, not through its original idea, but by paying super close attention to a spectacular failure. That's right, Pinterest wasn't supposed to be Pinterest. It started its life as a mobile shopping app called Tote, and frankly, it was failing. But here's the brilliant insight. The founders noticed that a tiny group of users were using the app in a completely unexpected way. They weren't buying anything. Instead, they were obsessively saving and collecting images of things they hoped to own one day, creating these beautiful visual wish lists. They were curating, not shopping. And that discovery led to the big pivot you see here. In 2009, Tumblr was basically dead in the water. But by 2010, they made the incredibly bold move to kill their own product and rebuild everything around that one single behavior, collecting beautiful images. They launched the new concept Pinterest as an invite-only platform in 2011. This created this cool sense of exclusivity and drew in passionate early users who just loved it. By 2012, that careful, user-focused approach paid off with absolutely explosive growth. And this unique user behavior translates directly into a really powerful business model. I mean, when you look at the advertising numbers, you can see exactly why. The cost per click is super competitive, and conversion rates are strong, all because the ads reach people when they're already in a discovery mindset, actively looking for their next project or their next purchase. And this is a platform that is absolutely built for the modern world. With over 85% of its traffic coming from mobile devices, it is a prime example of a company that just gets how people browse and discover and plan their lives on the go. It's a visual discovery engine that fits right in your pocket. So, after looking at all these stories, from scrappy beginnings with cereal boxes to massive data-driven engines, what are the core lessons here? What can we really take away from the startup growth playbook? It really boils down to these four principles. First, solve a genuine pain point, not just a nice to have. Second, forget trying to appeal to everybody at the start. Just find a small niche of people who will absolutely love what you do. Third, think about how your product can grow itself, just like Dropbox did. And finally, you have to embrace the hustle. Selling cereal boxes or creating fake accounts might not be in a business textbook, but sometimes it's exactly what it takes to survive and then thrive. The stories and the strategies, they're not secrets. The patterns are crystal clear. So the only question left is the one that every founder, every creator, and every innovator has to ask themselves. Now that you've seen the playbook, what problem are you going to solve? What will you build?